Welcome to an overview of the budget and the budget process. In order to provide context for the local budget process, we need to look at the national budget process. In Tanzania, the national budget has the following major players, providing input in the budget process itself: the President and their cabinet, the Ministry of Finance and Economic Affairs, Parliament, the Controller and Auditor General, the Tanzania Revenue Authority, the Budget Guidelines Committee, donors, the private sector, and even civil society. The Tanzanian national budget process follows the following calendar. From November through May, the Ministry of Finance and Economic Affairs compiles requests and information from ministries, departments, or agencies and prepares the Cabinet's requested or recommended budget for Parliament. From June through August, Parliament debates and eventually approves the government's budget. The Tanzanian government's budget year begins on July 1 and ends on June 30th, and it's during this time that various ministries execute their approved budgets. Also during this time period, various parts of government are subject to audit by the Comptroller and Auditor General. Government budgets can, and do, influence the distribution of wealth and income in a country. Who pays the taxes and who is charged for services? Who receives services and programs? Essentially, who pays and who benefits from public programs and policies? A related concern is whose views are listened to when policymakers make budget decisions. Do policymakers only include the wealthy and those who live in the capital city when making fiscal decisions? What about the views of the common person who lives out in the country, or the laborers, in addition to the business leaders? Who is the target group for services? Is it for the favored few, the political allies, or do services extend to others in need of service? When there are programs providing subsidies or income support transfers, who gets the money? And do the programs achieve the desired goals or produce unintended consequences? These are the types of distributional issues that arise in government budget making. A budget is most helpful when it conveys not only what the spending and revenue plan is for the upcoming year, but when it offers comparative information from the most recent years. Readers like to see this historical comparison. An example here shows the actual spending for 2014, the start of the year adopted budget for 2015, the estimated end-of-year results for 2015, and the upcoming year's 2016 budget. There are two key calculations to use in budget analysis. The first is percentage total, and the second is percentage of change from the prior period. In this example, the monetary units are in US dollars just for illustration purposes. But calculating the percentage of total allows you to see how much each row item represents of the total budget. Simply divide the row amount by the total amount and express it as a percentage. Thus, in this slide, lab supplies of $100 is 45.45% of the total spending, while $120 of test kits are 54.55% of the total. We commonly see this type of perspective shown as a pie chart, like the example here. Percentage change allows us to see the difference over time. For example, if the budget for the first year was $100 for CD4 cartridges and it increased to $120 for the next year, we can compute the change as 120 minus 100, which equals 20. Then 20 divided by 100 expresses it as a percentage. This reveals a change of 20%. In contrast, the budget for equipment maintenance declined 4.76%. And overall, the budget total increased 3.23%. We would have to have more information to assess what all of this means. Just because something increased does not mean it's good, and a negative change does not automatically mean it's bad. Let's look at alternative explanations. Perhaps each CD4 cartridge was more expensive in the second year. So an increase in expenditure is really bad because it takes more money to use the same number of cartridges as last year. Or, what if we're now able to buy more CD4 cartridges at a lower per unit cost? In that case, a higher budget conveyed that we were buying more units and providing more services, all indicators of a good result. Maybe equipment maintenance decreased because we used the equipment less. Maybe because we had fewer patients, making the result kind of bad. Alternatively, what if we had changed maintenance repair vendors so that the lower budget result really shows that we're getting more or better service for less cost? That would be a good result. Interpreting the bottom line of 3.23% total increase also must be looked at relative to other budgets. Perhaps that's higher or lower than what other organizational units face, but it's just right for the laboratory. The point is that the display by itself only raises more questions. It means that we have to further investigate the budget's context in order to fully interpret the results.